Hello, welcome to a long overdue episode of Tea Time with Mr. T. I'm Mr. T, obviously, and this is Tea Time. Sorry I've been gone for so long, haven't really been posting much. I've had some health issues come up. I'm not usually all that, sorry. Damn it. This adjustable bed kills me sometimes. But I've had some issues with my neck and back, and going back and forth to therapy. I've been busy pretty much 5 days a week, so I've just been exhausted. Today we will be doing I think it's pronounced qian. It's four gold coins. Liu Bao from 2005. So 16 years ago, I think. Math is not very good. I'm trying a new brewing technique this time. I'm using my clay one because I think that's what I'm going to use for all my HI. I do believe that the goal for HI, at least nobody's really explained it, but for me it seems like the goal for HI is to end up like dark like an aged shung, well-aged shung, and have that kind of flavor profile. But I don't know. I'm not a big expert on all this stuff. Warm up my teaware here. Anyways, this brewing technique is using lower leaf for longer steeps. Now, I've had some of this tea and I kind of know what to expect from it, so I'm not worried about missing flavors or anything from it, because I've got a pretty good idea what it tastes like. And this clay retains heat, so it's very good. Wait for this water to heat back up. Let's see. Nutty, obviously, Patel nut. Wood. A little bit of dank mustiness, but not like real bad. Noodles, I want to say, like wheat noodles. Maybe just a slight hint of smoke. I would usually give 2 rinses, but for the sake of saving time, I'm only going to give it 1. It's not like 2 rinses is going to make or break it. I mean, I don't get you a wet. It smells like when it's wet. So my steeping times today, once I actually start steeping, will be 1 minute, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I'm only going to do 4 infusions. Ooh, spice. Clove. Earth. Definitely spicy. Like, what else is that? sugar, some kind of nutmeg maybe? Nutmeg, Christmas, winter spices is what I'm getting out of it. Along with tobacco, like snus. It's got that kind of smell to it. And something very reminiscent of, if you've ever smelled it, sweetgrass. Brews up a nice, well, for now, this looks darker than what it is, but it brews up a nice orange color for the rinse. And I'll be doing 2 steepings at once. I'll put one in there and one in there. We'll get through this rather quickly. I'll try to give as much information as what I'm getting out of it. I hear when it comes to tasting stuff like tea, to you go with the first thing that comes to your mind, because it's usually right. I don't know if there's truth to that, but that's just what I've heard. I've got my piggy today. Man. Let's give this a fresh heat up. If you have this tea or have another Liu Bao, feel free to drink with me and type in the comments what you get out of it. I want you to give a 3. If you watch this and you've had this tea, I want you to give me a rating of 1 through 5 and to describe your experience with it. I'd really like to see people start doing that so we can compare. It doesn't have to quite be, well. If you've had this tea, rate it. But if you don't have this tea but have Liu Bao, just tell me about what you're drinking. Usually I would use 4 or 5 grams for a 100 milliliter pot, but I'm using 3.5 grams. No, my cats are no. My cats are trying to get up on the desk. I know y'all might like to see that, but it feels unprofessional to me. So, but I'm not a very professional guy though, so I guess, I figured because it's winter and I haven't really done a video yet on winter things, I'm going to do heicha. That includes shupor. I'm going to do some of that. Going to have some Liuan coming in from Purple Cloud Tea House. That's also where I got this sample, as well as two other Liu Bao and a cake of Lanhe 9599, I think it is, or something like that. As you can see here, it brews up almost black, but it's more of a very, very deep red brown. Let's see if this would work any better. I'm trying to light through it and see what that does. Oops. Give me a minute and I'll fix that. Didn't mean to hit the button. That doesn't really work. It's a lot darker than what it looks like. Ooh. Earth. Slight hint of that sweetgrass, which doesn't show up in the flavor, surprisingly. Let me get this restarted. There we go. I'm at the right place. You know, it's leaf condition ain't all that bad. I mean, yeah, there's some stems and stuff in there, but it doesn't look like it's been massacred, you know, kind of like how Fucha does. Another 1 minute. As far as I know about Liu Bao, I'm going to give you the information that I know about it. There's actually a link to a video that I'm going to post in here by I think his name is Lim King Jiang, something like that. He's a tea master that knows a lot about Liu Bao and stuff. He said that back in the old days, they would store the Liu Bao in between an airfield and not an airfield, a warehouse and an air raid shelter for something like 8 to 10 years, so they never got to try fresh Liu Bao. And that there is some raw Liu Bao that goes around anymore, but from what I'm hearing is in the beginning up until recently there was no raw Liu Bao in that sense. It was all traditionally processed, which was wetting down the pile like 2 or 3 times and stuffing it in baskets. So that's what I think is traditional. I mean, because that's what it says on that's what I've heard. Walnuts, maybe. Let's get to this first steeping, shall we? 100 milliliter cup. Be very careful because my hand's shaking. I don't want to spill this all over my lap and end up like a McDonald's lady. Bitterness is a little bit light. I probably should have used 4 instead of 3.5, but it doesn't really make a difference, I don't think. That half a gram probably ain't going to make much of a difference. Yeah, I'm getting that nutty profile and that snus tobacco profile, because I used to use snus. Without it, it's like snus if you've ever had it, but without the bergamot in it. That's kind of what the flavor I'm getting here. It's like an all natural snus tobacco flavor. Getting some bready notes, which I usually ascribe to shoe, but since I think this is still has a little bit of, I think this has the flavor of both traditional and Waldorf flavor. Well, what you'd expect from a Waldorf processed tea, like bread and noodles and stuff like that. Sorry about that. I don't know. I get that thing. It's surprisingly, it's even. Very minerally. First steep is. Not really tasting. I'm not really tasting the sweet grass like I thought I would be. Very viscous, thick. Leaves kind of like a creamy feeling in your mouth, like you've just drank some milk. Which is strange, because usually when I brew it at the full temperature, with the full amount for shorter times, I don't get nearly as thick of a brew. It's awful thin, and it's a very, very nice color of orange, red brown. Yeah, I'm getting that taste of snus tobacco. The way that they process it, I'm getting that taste of tobacco. and the lingering aftertaste. It kind of makes me want some snus, but I'm trying to quit all that. Steep number 2. Okay, now the the shu notes are kind of coming through a little bit. As I understand it, what happened was some statesman or something like that went to observe. We're thinking about how to age shungpuer faster so that it could sell it faster, and they went to a Liu Bao factory and they saw them doing something similar to the wet piling method, the Wodoi method, or they were stuffing it in the baskets and it was doing something like that. And then they came up with the Wodoi process in 73 or somewhere between 73 and 75, I'm pretty sure. And then over time, as that started getting popular, that trend started to come into Liu Bao, which is the wet piling. They do actual Wodoi now, but it's not for nearly as long as Show is. And then after that came the raw Liu Bao, which, as I understand it, didn't exist until it started becoming influenced by Guar. It's really good stuff. I mean, I know that Sohan, my buddy Sohan from West China Tea Company, I think he said that one time. He said, "Shu is for someone who can't handle Liu Bao." Liu Bao. It's kind of a joke. I like saying that because the flavor difference is very, very big between the two. This one's almost more. It's almost more bright and bold, I would say, compared to Shu. Shu can be very, I don't want to say bold or bright, but the flavor can be intense, but it's not a bright flavor. It's like it's going to sound contradictory, it's like a intense, subtle flavor. Like, it's not so much that it's like punch in the face strong, but it's very, very like concentrated. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not very good at this kind of thing. Supposed to be good for Liu Bao is supposed to be good for expelling dampness from the body and releasing heat, as far as I understand, according to Chinese medicine. And I kind of agree with that because it's very refreshing for it being a fermented tea. I mean, I'd say just about anybody could drink this and be all right with it. Earth is what I'm mainly getting. The musty earth is what I'm getting in this steep, along with got musty earth, then you've got musty earth, then you've got the nutty flavor, and then you've got the bready flavor, and then you've got the smokiness all the way down here. It smells smoky. I'm not really getting that in flavor. This one is the same color as the last one. This has to be, by far, this has to be one of my favorite. This, as far as I know right now, this has to be my favorite Liu Bao I've had. Though I did see one on Chawang Shop, I guess that's how you pronounce it. That was a Liu Bao with golden flower in it. Master Lim was saying in a video I was watching before I did this to get some information about it, was saying that when you go to a restaurant, they'll either, if an authentic restaurant, he was saying that they'll either generally if you don't ask for anything else, they'll either give you pu'er, a shu, or Liu Bao. And he said sometimes they like adding chrysanthemum flowers to it for whatever reason. I'm not sure. I could see how well flowers go well with the shu, but I've never had any. I've never had any Liu Bao with it in it either. I'll have to try to get some. Very bright. Dense almost, I would say. There's something almost just barely like a floral flavor on the back of the throat, and the aftertaste. I might do all 6 steepings with this just so you can see how it progresses. I don't know. It is a cold day out, so this might help me keep my spirits up. See, my timing method is, for the first 3 is 1 minute, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and then 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and 8 minutes for the last 2. 5 minutes and 8 minutes for the last 2 steeps. I get 6 solid steepings out of this. But if you're doing actual flash steeping, and then gradually increase the amount of time you steeped it, that would probably improve the longevity. But you know, there are far more brewable teas than Liu Bao. I'm going to put this probably under a playlist I'm going to create. I'm going to have try to have a playlist for each type of tea that I have. One for hei cha, one for green tea, one for black tea, as in red tea, hong cha, one for oolong, one for white tea, and green tea. I don't know if I said green tea. Maybe one day some yellow tea. And you got your pu'er. I don't know if I'll split that up between shu and shu and sheng, but who knows? Maybe I might. Maybe I might not. That's the wonderful thing about having tea with Mr. T, is you never know what's going to happen next. I promise. Trying to keep I don't want to have an awkward silence, so I'm just going to keep talking between the steeps. I might do all 6, but it's almost 30 minutes now. It's going to be about 30 minutes. It's almost been 30 minutes, so maybe I'll just do the 4 and then finish up the other 2 on my own. Now, I don't do this with teas I don't know. This is for teas that I've had a few times and I've got a pretty good idea of what I'm tasting using normal brewing. So when I get the Luan in and when I try it, I might try some on camera, I might not. So if you see me with the normal porcelain guy one, that's why, because I'm trying to learn about the tea, and this is teaching me. Every time you drink a tea, it's a teaching experience. This particular way is teaching me more about viscosity and the longevity of tea, colors and the scents, flavors. Basically everything about tea. Let's see here. Now my buddy Dave says it has a good bit of incense scent to it. If I was going to say incense, I would say sweetgrass, even though it's not technically an incense. But it reminds me of that, surely. And this is what the leaves look like. Look at me. They're not red, it's just how the light looks. And, oh god, I move. I can't do that anymore. And there's pretty big chunks of leaves in here. I mean, it's not like there's a bunch of broken leaves, and it's not like it's all broken leaves in here or anything. And even if it was, I wouldn't consider that a fault. Gotta be careful what I do with my back now. Getting baker's chocolate. Well, more of a really dark chocolate, because there is a little bit of sweetness to it. It doesn't have that baker's chocolate bitterness to it. It's the third steep. The tobacco, that snus flavor, the tobacco is there more now. The mustiness is there, but it's not unpleasant. I know some people might find that unpleasant, but I heard from a little old Chinese woman on Facebook that this time of year is good for dark teas because apparently they dispel dampness and coldness. And I don't know exactly anything about Chinese medicine, so I can't say what other benefits it has, but I have heard that these kind of teas do help with digestion. They cut through the grease, apparently. This is going to sound weird, but it's not in an unpleasant way. It leaves this kind of feel like a gritty flavor, gritty texture and flavor in your mouth. You know how, like, let's say you make up a thing of hot chocolate, and when you get to the bottom there's that little bit of gritty thick liquid left in the bottom, and you drink it and you can feel the grit and taste it and stuff like that in a pleasant way. Well, that's what this is like right now. At least that third steep was. Final steep. Brown sugar. Maybe a little bit of earthiness. I'm not really getting very much from the liquor in this one. Last steeping. Let's get it. Yep, caramelized sugar. Jaggery, I think you'd call it. I'll also be doing black teas during the winter, and I'll save the other teas for spring and summer and fall. Spring will probably be oolongs, or greens. Maybe green oolongs in spring, and then oxidized oolongs in summer, and then maybe white tea in fall. I'm going to get in contact with someone who knows more about the Chinese medicine so I can understand that a little bit better. Tobacco taste is gone. It's earthy. Getting that earthy taste. Minerality is still there. Kind of mixes with the earth to make it, give it a little bit of a, it's going to sound undesirable, but it's not that bad really. It kind of gives it a muddy flavor, which is nice. Little drying, can be. Depending on how hard you brew it, it can be a little drying, but it's also saliva producing. The after flavor lasts for quite a while. You get it. You get it when you breathe out. You get a little bit of it, a hint of it when you breathe in of the flavor, but it's fantastic. I mean, I've not had very many Liu Bao to compare it to. Well, I've had a few, but I'm still learning about it. Okay. Rating. 1 being the worst tea I've ever had, and 10 being absolutely perfect Nirvana tea. I'd give this a 7.5, maybe an 8 for this time of year. Would I buy it again? Yes, very much. In fact, I'm probably going to try to get a larger amount than this 25 gram. I'm gonna maybe get 100, 200 grams for it of it. Would I suggest it? Yes, absolutely. If you like Liu Bao, this is one of the most classic brands, as I understand it, one of the most classic brands of Liu Bao you can get, besides Duotelli. Would I drink it before bed? No. No, I wouldn't drink any tea before bed, except for maybe Fuzhuang, because that one seems to have a little bit less caffeine in it. So, recap: 2005 Xi Jinquan, Xi Jincheng, something like that. 4 gold coins. Liu Bao. Rating 7.5 to 8. Would I buy it again? Yes. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. Well, I'm glad of you to have joined me today in this session, and may you find happiness, wisdom, peace, and serenity in tea. Also, if you like my channel, please subscribe and hit the little bell icon to remember to get heads up when I'm putting up a new video. Peace and kindness. Namaste.